Hello and welcome to Victory in Vegas, the MMA betting podcast. In this episode, we're going to break down UFC Fight Night 121 in Sydney, Australia. I'm your host, Newsome, and as always, I'm with my co-host, Namreka. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. Can't say I'm looking forward to breaking this one down. It's not a great card, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, there's a couple of good fights. I think overall, normally these cards end up being quite entertaining, when there's not
that's true.
many big names on it. So look at that Mexico card we had a couple of months ago. It was crazy the amount of first round finishes that were in there. But
Hopefully
we'll see how it goes.
One of them.
Yeah, definitely. So as always, what we're going to do is we've got our bets and potential bets together, myself and Namreka's. We'll be breaking those fights down for you in full. The other fights that are on the card that we've passed on bets, we'll just quick fire at the end. So not too much back and forth, just a little on who we think is going to win and how, maybe what round. So we'll dive straight in. I'll let you call the first one.
Yeah, so Werdum versus Tybura. So to me, this is not actually that hard of a fight to call. Just, I feel like Werdum's got the skill edge in every department. Even in stand-up, where Tybura probably is at his best, but I feel like with the kicks, the Muay Thai skills of Werdum, and his boxing, his toughness, I feel like even there he is better. So then you add in the fact that he could get this to the ground, and then he's a whole other level. Tybura is not bad anywhere either, but I just feel like Werdum has that edge in every way. I really obviously there's always a chance at heavyweight of like a big knockout coming, but I'm not that confident that Tybura's got enough power to just ice Werdum like Miocic did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I've got him in a parlay. I think you have a bet on him too, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a bet on. So I agree with pretty much everything you've said. Tybura's path to victory in my eyes is that puncher's chance, which in all fairness, like you said at heavyweight, it's excelled a bit, the puncher's chance to other divisions just because of how hard they hit. But unless, I was at first, I was actually apprehensive to bet this. And the only thing that was holding me back was just the thought of what Werdum did to Miocic, coming in with that stupid smile before he entered the cage and just being really weird on the night and then
just
getting iced.
Charging
Absolutely.
No defense, no real thought about it, but hopefully he's learned
from
that.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, now we look back at that fight after we've seen what Miocic has done since then, it's not a surprise, and he probably would have knocked Werdum out regardless.
He does have that real short, compact power. He doesn't look like he's throwing bombs, but when he hits people, they tend to they feel it straight away, even when they have got
absolutely.
a good chin.
But that was the only thing that was holding me back. Apart from that, I think Werdum's got multiple path to victories here. He could stand with Tybura and try and point fight him. He's done it before. He did it with Travis Brown, I think it was. Admittedly, Travis Brown's on the decline, but he's proved that he's good enough to move in and out and just use his kicks and his boxing sharp punches.
One thing I did really like from that fight is Werdum didn't show any lack of confidence in his chin. Like, he came straight out after that Miocic fight, and he started the fight with that running kick straight to the face, and all fight he wasn't. There was no lack of confidence. He wasn't overly reckless, but there's always a worry when someone gets just completely blasted like that when they first come back, they're going to be a little bit hesitant.
They're a bit worried, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to want to take a big shot again.
So I think that's one path to victory. The other path to victory is if Tybura comes out and he really starts trying to pressure Werdum. I think Werdum will lock in the clinch, push him towards the cage. We've seen he's got brutal Muay Thai, elbows and knees. I think it was the Roy Nelson fight that really sticks in my head, where he just crashed him knee after knee after knee.
So first fight in the UFC as well, and he just showed so much improved striking straight out of the gate.
Well, it was his first fight back, that one, because he got Yeah.
Since he'd been
But
blasted
then,
by JDS back in the day.
yeah. But then, you've got the final path to victory, which is the one that I think everyone's expecting. Just getting that takedown early on, where you mentioned it. It's a shark tank going down there with Werdum, because he's by far the best in the heavyweight division in regards to his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Second dan black belt as well, which I think there's only a handful of guys in the UFC that are second dan black belts with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's really, really top level. So I'm not sure what his game plan is. I assume it will be similar to the game plan he had against Walt Harris, which again I assume would have been the exact same game plan that he'd have had against Lewis as well.
I can see him coming
So
out and striking quite a bit, but he's
okay,
always has that option to take him down. Because I feel like if Werdum is winning the striking, he'll just keep it striking until he's not. But like I said, I think he probably has the better of Tybura striking anyway, so I'm not too
yeah,
worried about this fight. And I think Werdum does
yeah,
have a really good chin. Like that, I know he got iced by Miocic, but if you just look back at all of his
and
other
everybody
fights,
gets
and Mark
well, yeah. I
Hunt
mean,
smashed him with a shot that dropped him hard, and Mark Hunt, one of the hardest hitters you're gonna get, and Werdum just it clearly rocked him a bit, but he shook it off. I mean, he's got an incredible chin. That
the only
Miocic
two
fight is a
people
blip in my eyes.
The
I
only
don't.
two, yeah, I agree. And the only two people to knock Werdum out were Miocic, which we already spoke about, and JDS. I believe that. I don't think he's been knocked out
Yeah,
more
and
than
I think
twice.
if I remember rightly, it's a while ago, but that was like an uppercut from hell.
Yeah, and that was JDS's first fight. That was the start. Well, that was the start of him wanting it, and ironically, he got cut after that. But then came back when the UFC realised that JDS was actually a serious dude. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
agree.
well, submitting Fedor probably helped quite a bit too.
Well, yeah. It was a bit of a shock that, wasn't it? Wasn't that Fedor's first loss in like 10 years as well?
Yeah, it
Caught in a
was
triangle.
shocking at the
Yeah,
time.
but yeah, I both agree. I think fully on this, definitely. I've got 4 units on him, so I'm quite deep on Werdum here. At minus 250, so I hit that line nice and early before before Vegas dropped their odds. Think he's about minus 350 now, something like that. So
Yeah, I got him in a parlay at minus 333, which is
yeah,
long odds. That's why I had to parlay it. But
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, overall, my prediction. I know, obviously, you're thinking it's going to go a different way.
well,
A
I can see
different.
it going either way. If he takes him down, then easy night. But I don't think Tybura is that easy to get down, so he might have to soften him up a bit, standing first.
Yeah, maybe. I think ultimately, though, he is going to get him down over 5 rounds, and I think he'll get a submission. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, all in agreement on this one.
Sweet.
So
Well,
that's
we'll move straight on to the next
yeah,
one then.
you're calling this one.
Aye. So we've got Tim Means versus Belal Muhammad. Gone against the grain with this from the majority, I find. But listen, the line is absolutely nuts on this. I can't stress enough how how crazy it is. I actually got Belal plus 226, so I just put 1 unit on him.
That is quite crazy
Pre-tape,
odds. This is a close fight.
it's nuts. Yeah, I mean pre-tape, I was on Belal. Had a look over tape. I was still on Belal in my notes. I actually, again, some people might think this is nuts, but this is just what I do and how I value what I see. I actually had Belal at minus 130. So obviously you can imagine my surprise when when he's north of plus 200. So yeah, I mean I didn't have to put any more than 1 unit on. I'm satisfied with the returns I'll get if he does win. But I mean I think here you've got a striker versus a wrestler really. He's not a sole wrestler, Belal, but I think that he will adopt that game plan in this fight, and I've bet on him based on that. I cannot see him looking at tape with Means and knowing everything he must know about Means and think, you know what, I'm going to strike with this guy, because if he does, he's lost. Like I do not think he can strike with Means for 3 rounds and win, and he'll probably get knocked out in that process as well. But I see it being very similar in regards to a style matchup to his last fight with Jordan Meehan. So, Meehan's a similar sort of size and style as Means, and Belal came out in the first round, and he was striking a bit with him, but the longer the fight progressed, Belal just got to the point where he was, he didn't want to strike. He didn't want to know anymore when it came to the strike, and he just closed the distance, pushed him against the cage, tried to get takedowns. If he didn't get the takedowns, he was just clinching on him against the cage, doing enough for the referee not to split him, and just running the clock down, scoring points. And I think that's what he'll do here with Means. I don't think he'll have too much success, especially early on, taking Means down. I think he could end up quite, stuck in the clinch quite a bit. But the one thing that I do worry about is Means in the clinch is better than what Meehan was and is. So I think Means can be quite nasty in the clinch if Belal doesn't play it safe. But that has to be Belal's game plan. He has to fight safe. He has to not put himself in, put his head in places where Means is either going to knee him or elbow him. And ultimately, that's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to win a decision, stay out the way of the striking. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying that he's got a bad chin, and I think that, and I could be making wrong assumptions, but I think a lot of people look at the Vicente Luque fight and think he's got a bad chin. But listen, Luque will knock a lot of people out. Yeah,
like, if you get caught clean by him, you're probably going to go no matter who you are.
And he didn't even have a chance to fight a game against Luque because it happened relatively quick into the fight. He was still feeling his way into the fight, and then suddenly this shot from hell comes out, hits him perfectly on the chin with power. And if Luque hit anybody, well, most people in the division with that shot, it's going to end exactly the same way. Yeah. So, when he comes out against,
he did show a very good chin against Joban as well, because he took it on short notice and he got rocked a few times, but he showed a lot of toughness and he kept in there. And he recovered quick from every time he got rocked. So I think his it's not terrible like people might be making out. But
exactly. And Meehan hits hard as well. And Meehan hit him a few times. And, when I was watching that fight back, I was thinking, God, he could, he could have maybe dropped there or maybe been a bit dazed or rocked, but he didn't. He just walked through it. I still think Means could knock him out, definitely. But that's if he fights the wrong game plan. And Belal strikes me as someone that's, got decent fight IQ, and he's not going to go into this fight thinking that he can outstrike Means. But if he does, he loses.
And he did fight that fight against Meehan on Ramadan, so he's probably better than he showed in that fight, even though he fought really well. So
exactly. But yeah, so I've got one unit on Belal at plus 226. My prediction is I think he grinds out an ugly decision that's probably not going to be good to watch.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a very close fight. Obviously, like you said, striking Means will probably outpoint him. He could knock him out, but I feel like Muhammad's toughness will probably get him through. But he's very open standing. When he's on his way in, he leaves a lot of openings. He's not that hard to tag, so he does need to push this against the cage. But he is quite good at closing that distance and doing that. Like, he had a massive reach disadvantage on Randy Brown, and he managed to get inside that distance and do his thing. So if he can get Means to the fence, if he can hit those takedowns, and he does have some quite nice takedowns sometimes, he can probably edge out a decision. It's just, I feel like it's quite a close fight. I feel like if he struggles with those takedowns, or he struggles to close that distance, Means will keep on racking up the points and
I agree.
Scoring, but yeah, it's too. It was. I did consider betting this, but it was a little bit too close for me to pull the trigger. But yeah, my pick is Muhammad. But yeah, I do see paths for victory for both guys. Like, very clear paths for both guys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you should come through on that bet, but I would sit there watching the fight very worried if I was you.
Well, I mean, I've only put a unit on it, so I mean, I've got two really confident leans on the card, and bets. One's for Doom and of one we'll talk about a little bit later on. But if both of them come in, if both my strongest leans on the card come in and win for me, I'm up. I've profited regardless. So it's another strategic bet from me. But I'm not. I had a lean on Belal. I had a price set in my head on Belal of where I valued the line. and he just came in ridiculous. Same thing as like a bet with TJ at 217. I'm not going to pass.
Yeah,
I'm not going
plus
to pass on an
226
early.
is out of whack. That's not a good line at all. I mean, it's a good line for you to bet on. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
This fight should be a pick'em, and yeah, you've got good odds on that. Yeah.
So, yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I hope that comes in for me.
Yeah.
So we'll jump straight into the next one then. I think that's you.
Okay, so Matthews versus Velickovic. I actually did end up putting a bet on this. I was and ahhing on it a bit because Velickovic can be very inactive at times, and Matthews he's very raw skill wise, but he is athletic and he could outwork Velickovic, but Velickovic is the more skillful striker, and that's where I think this fight will take place. I'm pretty sure Matthews will try and take him down, but he's moving up in weight in this fight, and
Yeah.
he's suddenly fighting someone much bigger than the guys he's been pushing around before, and I think it's going to be quite a bit of a shock to the system for someone who relies so heavily on athletic ability. Suddenly, when you haven't got that strength, suddenly
Yeah.
you find out your skill levels weren't high enough to begin with. If you're
And
relying
listen, he
on
wasn't a big lightweight to start with either. Matthews, like he was, I think he was slightly undersized, and we're talking marginally here, but slightly undersized against Holbrook. I'm sure he was, that I noticed.
Yeah.
So it's not as if he was a big lightweight and everyone expected it. So, for example, if someone like James Vick moved up a weight class, we could all sit there and think, okay, yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. But with Matthews, that's not the case, and I just think that he was a normal size lightweight that's for some reason thinks it's a good idea to move up to welterweight,
Well, it
and
makes you
now he's
wonder
fighting.
what kind of weight cut and diet he was on. Like,
Yeah,
he might be a bit of a Johnny Hendricks, Calvin Gastelum type fighter, where it's just like the dedication to cutting weight is what's lacking more than the actual size of the fighter.
but Velickovic isn't even your average size welterweight anyway. He's still quite big for that division, so it's a bit like an average size lightweight fighting a decent sized welterweight. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be a huge size difference in this fight. I think I heard somebody say it on Twitter, and I sort of agreed with it. It's going to look a little like the Sage Northcutt Quinones sort of differentials, and I agree. I think that's quite a good representation of how this fight might look. So
yeah, and considering Matthews' path to victory is muscling to the cage and taking him down and what have you,
yeah,
that makes so much a difference in the weight. Like if this was a fighter who was like a really good striker, and we would probably say, okay, maybe the weight isn't going to make a huge difference, but if Matthews starts losing that striking battle, he's going to want to start to grapple, and I think he's going to find himself just not strong enough to force that game onto Velickovic.
have you been reading my breakdown on my website of this fight?
I never read your breakdowns. What are you on about?
But yeah, just going back to your striking thing as well. He's going to get outstruck in this fight. I mean, Velickovic held his own against Darren Till, and we all know about Till. Even if he didn't know before, you do now. So
Yeah.
to go 3 rounds against Darren Till, also getting dropped twice as well, and still getting back up and still putting in an okay performance.
He showed a lot of toughness
speaks.
as well, and he came back.
Yeah.
He came back a little bit in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that speaks volumes in itself. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Matthew's path to victory is a takedown, and he might get a takedown maybe, but if he does, he's going to have to work for it, and if he works for it, he'll tire. I do notice that he tires in the 3rd round of every fight that I watch tape on,
because he is
as
quite
well
muscled as well. So obviously that is always takes it out of a fighter. I mean, obviously the one to point to is Tyrone Woodley. We've all looked at him for years and said he's too muscled to fight a high pace, and it's proven to be true in every one of his fights. Matthews probably has the same thing going on. He just, when you're that muscled, it's like the blood's got to shoot around all those muscles, and it's just going to tire you out a lot quicker than someone who's natural for the weight class. Because when you've got that muscle, you're obviously pushing yourself up to a weight class that you're not really the same size of the guys you're fighting naturally.
And listen, Velickovic has got decent takedowns himself. He doesn't go for him as much as I'd actually like him to. but he's got a sweet takedown. So
I don't think he'll probably want to do that too much. I think he's gonna have his success standing in this fight. If he does, I hope it's like he takes him down and he just sort of lets him get up, not literally stands off him, but just lets him work his way
yeah.
up and then continues with the fight. And it's a good way to score a few points and tire a guy like Matthews out if you're forcing him to stand up underneath you.
And listen, I mean, for anybody listening to this now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, this Velickovic, I wonder what price Velickovic is. He must be decent odds. We must have put a bit on him. The dude is an underdog. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think we got the same line. Yeah. I got the same. Plus 138.
That's what
nuts.
I got,
so
yeah,
I've stuck a unit on him.
Yeah, I got a little bit less than a unit, but yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he gets the finish or not, but I think he's going to win the fight. Now, the only thing that I do, well, I don't worry about a lot, but some people might see it as a factor. Is Matthews is Australian. He's in Australia. He's already lost a close split decision to Holbrook, which I think was the right decision in Australia. So, if it's a close fight again,
you always worry about that home cooking though. It does happen.
But I really don't think that you can have too much of a worry about that when it comes to bet. I think you've just got to sort of put it to the back of your mind.
I never weigh it into my decisions on to bet or not. It's just an unfortunate fact of fighting at times.
But yeah, I mean, both really in agreement with this. I thought we might.
Like you say,
anyway.
Like he could knock him out. I mean, he hasn't shown much power throughout his career, but to knock out Musoki, who'd never been knocked out. And he
gave him major stanky leg, didn't he?
He did, and Musoki has been in with some hard-hitting guys himself, and he's never been stopped. So it was quite an impressive, just one-shot finish.
Yeah, like I say, ultimate stanky leg.
He did quite the dance, didn't he? That was one of the most. It was one of the funniest knockdowns I think I've ever seen. Poor guy.
Yeah, I can remember watching that live, and I was just screaming, just like, "Oh my God, look at him!"
So was I, because I bet on Velickovic, remember?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you got really lucky with that, didn't you?
Don't start.
Yeah, I don't blocking again. But yeah, both got Velickovic. 1 unit for me. What you got in it?
0.75 just to make back my unit on it.
Yeah,
you know
cool.
What I'm like.
Well, yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll move on. This is my next one. So we've got Elias Theodorou against Dan Dadbod Kelly. So he's an interesting character. Kelly. Everyone seems to write him off every fight, and he tends to prove everyone wrong every fight, apart from obviously the last fight where he fought Brunson. And I think he's going to have, I know he's proved a lot of people wrong, but I think he's going to have similar issues in this fight to what he had with Brunson. And I don't mean the power. I don't think Elias is going to knock him out. But what I mean is, he fought some okay guys, but Brunson was the first guy that actually had decent movement, decent speed. And I think that's where Elias is going to have his way with Kelly. I'm not a fan of the way Elias fights. I don't think a lot of people are. He's quite.
Anyone is, are they?
No, it's quite safe.
Like him, just like his hair.
yeah, he has got nice hair, but he fights safe. He fights quite boring, in my opinion. But the one thing that you get with Elias, especially from a betting point of view, is the guy doesn't change between fights. He doesn't look. We've bet on fighters before based on them wrestling a guy, and then he's gone out and stood with a guy for
complete opposite.
Yeah, but Elias don't do that. You know what you're going to get with him, and he'll perform the same way every time, which is like I said, it's good from a betting perspective because you can, based on who they're fighting, you can have a really strong gauge of who's actually going to win that fight before you've even watched tape. And I think that's similar with Elias here. Dan Kelly's path to victory is an expert in judo, so I would imagine it would be to clinch up with him against the cage, trip takedowns, lay on top of him, which, Elias hasn't got a bad get-up game either. I think Tavares took him down a few times in his last fight, and you know he still managed to get up.
Yeah,
But
he's a good scrambler.
I don't think that Kelly is going to have that success here. I don't think Elias is going to allow it. I think it's going to be another safe, boring decision. I've got 3 units on Elias. I got it at -225. I think it's around the -250, 260 mark now. So again, I beat the line on this. I just think I don't really know what else to say about Elias. You know, it's going to be a safe performance. He's not gonna get so close to Kelly that Kelly can wrap him up. He is going to be in and out. He is going to be constantly moving. Normally, he would look for takedowns in fights. Not sure he puts himself in that position here. Maybe later on if Kelly gets tired. But there's a couple of good bets from this fight. You know, Elias to win outright, I think is worth the money. And also, if you don't like, you know, the going for the straight pick on Elias and you'd prefer a total, not too sure what the line is now, but over 2.5 is likely to hit as well. Just, you know, Kelly's not. I don't see Kelly finishing Elias. I don't think he'll get in that position.
No.
Elias, unless he hits Kelly with a head kick or something like that, again unlikely. So I really cannot see past an Elias win here, and I'm confident because I know what I'm going to get from him. There's a handful of fighters out there that that fight exactly the same every fight. So, like I say, you know what you're going to get, and I expect Elias to go out there and 30-27, maybe 29-28 if he has an off round. But Kelly's got to do a lot in this fight to steal a round from Elias, and does he have that work rate in him? I'm not sure. So my prediction ultimately is a decision 30-27 quite comfortably. What about you?
Yeah, I was actually considering this as the other side of my parlay when I was putting my bets together, but I didn't bet in the end. But yeah, Elias should get past this fight quite comfortably. Dan Kelly's not going to knock him out. Elias is tough as nails. I mean, anyone who's seen that Thiago Santos fight you got to give Elias that. He can take a shot,
Yeah.
and he's got heart. He'll keep fighting, and there's no submission threat. We've seen him deep in submissions, and he's toughed his way through. Like, I can't remember what fight it was. It might have been the Ferreira fight, but he was very deep in, I think, a guillotine at one point, and it looked like he was done, but he just kept fighting his way through it, and his work rate is great. He's got a bit more power than he's shown lately as well. So yeah, I don't really see much that Dan Kelly's going to do here. The only thing, maybe if he gets into the clinch and outworks Elias, but I just I feel like Elias freezes people. That's like the one thing about Elias is he obviously awful to watch. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, but what he does, it does freeze people in place. Like we've seen it against Sam Alvey, we saw it against Ferreira even more, where just being weird makes people very hesitant on what they want to do back. And
Absolutely, and I mean in camp as well, he's going to be quite a hard guy to try and mirror and
yeah,
imitate from
there's not going to be
a
anyone.
sparring point of view.
I don't think there's
So
anyone who can actually do what Elias does. Not that they'd want to, but I don't.
yeah,
I don't think
I'm not even
anyone
sure
can.
Elias does it on purpose, but it is what it is. But yeah, you're right. I agree with everything you've said.
Yeah,
I can't really add any more to it.
yeah,
You can't really break an Elias fight down very well.
no,
It's just he
he's gonna
goes out there and he does
he
what he has to do.
he's gonna be weird and probably win. That's my final breakdown.
Cool. So yeah, 3 units for me. I hope that cashes,
It should do.
and we'll swiftly move on. So your call,
Yeah, Benoit versus
Mokhtarian.
Mokhtarian. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is in my parlay, and it's just based on Mokhtarian not being a very good fighter. It's like in that fight with Moraga, the first round he kept just going for these really awful takedowns, getting himself into trouble. So, like one point against him is he's got bad fight IQ. So I thought, oh, going into the second, maybe he's going to show some good fight IQ and stick to what he does best. But I'm not actually sure what he does best because he didn't seem to strike very well either. So, and he also tired. So I just don't know he's all about. He just doesn't seem UFC level, and Benoit he's a decent fighter. He's obviously not world class himself, but he's one of the hardest hitting guys at flyweight, I'd say. And Mokhtarian, pretty easy to hit. I also don't think he's going to be getting him down. And yeah, it's hard one to break down because all I really want to say is Mokhtarian's not very good. Bet on Benoit. It's like this is yeah. I think Benoit will get the finish as well. I'm not gonna bet on the under at flyweight, but yeah, this is Benoit's fight. I think he's just he's too much of a decent striker, and Mokhtarian is supposedly a striker. I just don't see what he's gonna do in this fight. Obviously, I think he has a few head kick knockouts on his record, so there's a little bit of risk. Oh, I think he has one, but it's always he seems to hit quite hard, but he just he just looked bad in that fight. Like Moraga is obviously a better fighter than his record indicates because he's been in with the best every fight, but he just he's not UFC level. Benoit is, so to me it's quite a simple one to pick. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but there is a reason I haven't bet it. Well, there's two reasons. So I agree with with everything you've said in regards to Benoit. I think he does look decent. His striking's crisp. He doesn't make too many mistakes. His footwork's good. He looks like he's got decent fight IQ. He moves in and out of range really well. He counters really well. Good hands, good power. I'm sort of thinking why I haven't bet him now, but yeah, he looks good. But the reason I haven't bet him is I'm pretty sure when Mokhtarian fought Moraga, there was a lack of. I'm sure there was a lack of tape, and I didn't find too much here either. But then you got to take into consideration that, like you said, Moraga's been in there with the best. He just knocked out Bibulatov. So it's tough to gauge a UFC debut fighter when he's fighting when he fought someone like Moraga. It's tough to have that gauge to think, okay, I get what you're on about in regards to fight IQ, because Mokhtarian's going to have known all about Moraga, yet he still came in and did some weird stuff. But would it surprise me if Mokhtarian looked good in this fight? Probably not, because he's coming off that loss against one of the best guys in the division. It was a tough debut for him. Yeah, he didn't look great, but not many people do against Moraga. But like I said, having said that, I do like Benoit. But because of my reservations, I then look at the line. If Benoit was a bit better than -200, would have looked at maybe having a bet on it. But I think when I saw him, he was about -225. He might have even hit the -250 mark at some point as well. So it was just a bit too steep for me to bet. And I was already really confident in Werdum, which I had 4 units. Really confident in Elias, which I had 3 units. So instantly I'm already 7 units deep into a card. To get a decent return back off Benoit, I mean, you'll know yourself, I don't really like playing parlays unless I have no other choice. So I wasn't going to play a parlay on this card, definitely not. So the only way that I make a decent profit on Benoit is if I stick another 2 or 3 units on the guy. And from a money management point of view, I'm not going to take that risk. So I think you're right. I think you'll cash. Had a few reservations, but the bottom line is I had a couple of other stronger leans on the card.
Yeah, that's. I think I've said all I'm going to say on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my prediction
I don't want to
is
trash the guy anymore.
Yeah, my prediction is Benoit by decision. I think it'll be.
A knockout wouldn't surprise me at all, though, because Mokhtarian's very open, and Benoit hits like he's one of the few flyweights alongside John Dodson when he was in the weight class who can really just hurt you with one shot out of nowhere, like he did against Sergio Pettis is a good example.
Yeah, and his striking is crisp. I do like the kid, and I think we've definitely got more to see from him, even after this fight. But yeah, I mean, what have you parlayed Benoit?
Yeah, with Werdum. I got
Okay, so that's your
1.3
other
on the
half of
both
that.
of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. That's not a bad parlay, to be fair.
Well, it was either Werdum or Elias that I was going to throw in there.
What, with Benoit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think you're gonna have too many issues with that cash in, to be honest. So good luck to
Thank you.
you. Right, we'll move on then. So it's your call again.
Yeah,
Busy
so
man.
Coulter versus I think they were calling him Tuivasa.
Tuivasa.
Yeah, Tuivasa. This is under 1.5 bet I got on this because I'm not sure he's going to win it. I know you look at the records of the two and you probably go for Tuivasa, but Tuivasa he hits really hard, but he also gasses really hard at the same time. Like it's his fights are either really quick or I think he's going to gas and he's going to get beat. He actually lost a fight to Peter Graham. That's not on his record. It might have been an amateur fight or
Yeah, I've
something,
heard
but
about this. Yeah, and he gassed really
he
hard,
did.
didn't he?
And he gasses hard against James McSweeney as well. He did end up getting
Yeah.
the finish, but James McSweeney is a garbage fighter. So, like, again, in this fight, he might find himself in a bit of trouble if he gasses because Coulter did, after getting his leg kicked the shit out of against Sherman, he did come back pretty well and
Listen, it wasn't just his leg that he got kicked the shit out of. He got kicked the shit out of in general.
but he
He
did
was
manage to catch Sherman a few times when even though he was basically dead on his feet. So he gave Sherman a little bit of a worry even after he was getting the shit kicked out of him.
he was a
So
pro. He's got a pro boxing record, hasn't he, Coulter? I'm sure
yeah, yeah, I've seen a
the
few of
last
his
time I looked
boxing.
into. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
watched a few of his boxing matches before the Sherman fight. He's not a great boxer, but he knows how
No,
to box. So yeah,
which is good enough in MMA.
I just this is a good under 1.5 just because Tuivasa he's gonna either come in, he's gonna just knock him out, or he's gonna drag on a bit. He's gonna get really tired, and I think Coulter is gonna come back and probably get the finish himself. So, and neither of them really like the ground game. So this is gonna be a stand-up fight. They're both just gonna be swinging. Tuivasa is a very aggressive fighter. He's not just gonna allow time to go past without much happening. So yeah, I think this is going to be one of the good type of heavyweight fights where they both just look for the knockout early and one of them gets it.
What line did you get on it?
Uh, on the under, that is minus 175.
That's not bad, you know. How much you got?
I got 2 units on that.
You got what?
2 units.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Ladies and gentlemen,
big bet for me.
bet your house. Bet your house on the under if Namreka's got 2 units on it, because that's nearly quadruple your average bet. So that's nearly like a max bet for you. So congratulations. I really hope it cashes for you, because if not, we might end up starting to see some 0.1 bets from you in the future.
Yeah, for the next month, I think.
There is a reason I didn't bet this line, because it is a good line. I think in America it's about minus 160. I agree with everything you've said. I just hold a few reservations from personal things that have happened, in previous bets that I've had. So, first of all, the Sherman fight is good to mention, because how Coulter held up in some parts of that fight, I'll never know. Yeah, Sherman doesn't hit as hard. Well, doesn't look like it's as hard as Tuivasa, but the bottom line is Coulter were getting bombed on, and he just couldn't put the guy away. He just kept. He was just there. So that, first of all, strikes worry, because
Well,
it shows that Coulter
Tuivasa
got a
did
shit.
really badly rock Peter Graham, who I don't think is. That's not a guy who gets stopped much, so that shows true power. Even though he did end up losing that fight, he showed that just from a natural level, he has a hell of a lot of power, probably a lot more than Sherman, I'd say.
Yeah, and do you know what? If Sherman had, if not Sherman, sorry, if Coulter had gone down against Sherman, it would have been a lot safer for me to pick this, but that's one half of why I didn't bet this fight. Have this bet on the under, just because Coulter's shown that, you know, he's got heart, he's got toughness, he has a bit of a chin at least. That's what we know. The other half, and it's something you touched upon as well, is Tuivasa gasses, and he gasses hard. So this is where I've been burnt in the past with under 1.5s at heavyweight, is the second that the fighters get gassed, it's just so tough to land that under, because the both fighters will lose that power. I think Coulter's got the slightly better gas tank, but
yeah, I'd say,
like I said, between Coulter getting absolutely destroyed against Sherman and was hanging in there, and Tuivasa gassing, there was just a couple of question marks for me. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to force any bets on this card. It's quite a weak card anyway. So personally, I think it'll come in for you. It's just there's only so many times. Only so many times you can get personally burned by something that you start to have reservations. And like, look at last week with Arlovski and Albini. I had the TKO in that, thinking, the second that Albini even looks at Arlovski's chin, he's probably gone.
Oh, I had the same thoughts.
He
took some shots.
And he took shots. He had a chin for the first time in about 15 years and went the distance.
First time ever, I think. I think he got knocked out cold in his first pro fight. He started as he meant to go on. So
yeah, it's just a few reservations about it. But ultimately, I think it will cash for you. I think the last under 1.5 that I had as well was the Edilov fight against Bojan Mihailovic, I think it was, and it went like 2 seconds past the 1.5. So
yeah, I remember that.
I'll gutted. I would have swept that night as well. But it's one of them things, and like I said, I've been burned a few times, so I am staying away from it. I've got 9 units in total on the card, and yeah, that's enough for me. I've got no reason to press any more bets. So
I hope it comes. First bet I put on the card, actually, is because I normally watch from the bottom up anyway. So yeah, that was the first one I thought. I'm gonna take that.
No. From a pick point of view, just for people that care, I think Coulter's going to win.
I'll go for Tuivasa to win, but it wouldn't surprise me which way it goes. I don't think Tuivasa is that good.
I don't think you care who wins.
No,
I definitely
as long as
care
it
who
goes
wins.
Nice and early.
Absolutely. So yeah, that wraps up our main card breakdown. So we'll move on to the quickfires just really quickly. The bets that we both passed on, not enough strong lean. So the first one we've got Bet Rawlings against Jessica Rose Clark. Just weird women's fight. Rawlings was supposed to fight Calderwood. I would have definitely been on Calderwood, 100%. I would have bet that. So I think Rawlings gets it done here. Not overly confident. I watched a bit of tape on Rose Clark thinking that I might bet Rawlings, but ultimately I couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to bet this fight. So I think Rawlings wins. I think she'll win by decision. If you're looking to bet it, my advice would be probably not. But if you do really want to, look at the over 2.5, because I've heard that the friends as well. So Rawlings really needs to win. Rose Clark's probably just happy to be there. They're both friends. I think it's going to go over 2.5 with a Rawlings decision. What about you?
Well, first of all, I can't believe this is the co-main event.
Well, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention. Yeah.
But yeah, everything I've seen from Rose Clark, she does not look like a very good fighter. And I know Beck Rawlings isn't a great fighter, but I think she's just about good enough to push through and get the win here. So. And I think she needed to move up to 125 as well. She's quite tight at the 115 limit, so
yeah,
she'll probably be even a little bit better than she was before, whatever that really means. But yeah, I'll go Beck Rawlings. No, not much confidence. Just Rose Clark looks very average.
Yep. Right, you can go for the next one.
Volkanovski versus Young. I haven't actually seen much of Shane Young, but Volkanovski's I think he's gonna be a name you're gonna hear in this division for quite a while. So I haven't really got much I can break down on this fight other than just saying how good Volkanovski is. He hits really hard standing, and he's got that really good wrestling game to back it up. It's just unless Shane Young is just like massive, well kept secret down in New Zealand, it should be a Volkanovski win.
Absolutely, I agree. Again, same as you, didn't really watch too much on Shane Young. And I sort of knew what line we were going to get on Volkanovski, and I knew that it wasn't going to be something that I was going to be
Minus
tempted by.
650 you can get it at the moment. Damn.
Wow. So yeah, not something I'm going to tamper with. So, but I agree with you. Hits hard as fuck. Good wrestling. He's definitely one to watch for because he's just a little tank. I think he'll steam through Young. I think he'll probably be, first round, maybe second. Just interesting though, the under's set at 2.5 on this, and it's
Well,
not a bad line.
I don't know
But
how good Shane Young is. I don't know how tough he is.
that's the reason why I haven't bet it. That's exactly why I haven't bet it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Volkanovski should steam through him here. I'll have him to win in the distance, I think.
Yep. So on to the
Next one, we've got Will Brooks against Nick Lentz. I think Brooks is going to win. I think he'll win a decision. I don't think either guy's great though. Like I couldn't bet Brooks in general now just because the dude knows how to lose. He's underperformed quite a few times. Yeah, well, he does. Absolutely. He came from Bellator. He had a bit of hype behind him, and he's just been absolutely underwhelming to say the least. But then you look at Nick Lentz, he's pretty shit. So, I don't fully understand how Brooks is like a minus. Is he 600 now? Minus 600 favourite?
Is that what he is
Fucking
at the moment?
It's nuts. Whatever it is, it's about that though.
Yeah, because that did scare me away from even like really watching much tape on it. Because yeah, he's minus 550 in places.
He should win. Would I be surprised if he lost? Maybe a little, considering it's Nick Lentz is fighting, but I'm not even touching this. I say it all the time. I won't bet this with your money. So yeah, Brooks by decision.
I think Brooks, he probably should just outpoint his way to a win here. He'll keep moving, keep flicking out his punches, and pick up the win. The only thing I do worry about is he seems to have quite a big lack of strength for the division. Maybe it's coming out. Maybe in Bellator they're not quite as big lightweights as they are in the UFC. But like against both Oliveiras, he just looks so under strength for the class, and Charles Oliveira is a featherweight normally when he doesn't miss weight. So
yeah,
he does have that lack of strength. So I wouldn't want to bet it at anywhere near the odds that it is right now. But I'm pretty confident Brooks will get his win. So it's not really a fight I'm too interested in watching, to be honest.
same or betting.
I will just be watching this, hoping it's over pretty quick. And it won't be because it's these two. It will go all 3 rounds.
Absolutely.
Get the over if it's
Definitely.
good. I've not even checked it, but as I'm talking now,
I don't
I'm
even
thinking
care.
the over is probably the over is going to happen. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think so. Right, on to the next.
Yeah. Well, I did do Hamilton versus Wieczorek. Is that how you say it? Wieczorek?
I have no idea. I would go something similar, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll go Wieczorek then. He just doesn't look that good. He's this lanky 6'5" heavyweight, but he doesn't seem to have much strength. He doesn't seem to be a very good striker. But you don't bet on Anthony Hamilton. It's not a good idea to ever trust him to win a fight. His chin is one of the worst I've ever seen from a heavyweight. He got knocked out by a former middleweight not that long ago.
Who we've now seen is actually not that good either.
No, that was Marcel Fortuna.
Yeah.
And he just got iced in that fight. He got knocked out in 24 seconds in his last fight. You can't trust his chin, and he's not that good, very skillful either. He'll probably win this fight, but stay away from it. That's my advice.
I'm going slightly opposite, but I agree with pretty much everything you've said. Wieczorek looks pretty shit. Hamilton, I disagree with what you've said in regards to the worst chin at heavyweight. I just think he's got the worst chin, period.
Yeah. All right.
So
It's only a slight alteration. I'll actually go along with that.
yeah, I have to pick Wieczorek just because of the chin. Simple as that. So I think he'll get a knockout, and it'll probably be in the first round. And swiftly moving on, we've got Damien beat down Brown against Frank Camacho. I think it's going to be a fun fight. This.
Yeah, unlike the last few, this will probably be a fantastic fight.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet it just because I'm not sure which way it's going to go. It'll either be Camacho early or Brown late, and I'm just going to opt for Brown late. I think Brown stays out of the way of Camacho's power pretty early. Camacho will slow down. Brown will take over. I think he'll win a decision.
Yeah,
what about you?
Yeah, Camacho's basically, he's a 3-minute beast. Like, he hits really hard, he fights really aggressive for those first 3 minutes, but he always seems to get to the point where the fight is beaten out of him. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if he finishes Brown pretty early. Brown was iced pretty hard in his last fight, so I'll probably just about pick Camacho actually, but I will know after about 3 minutes which way this fight is going. So
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I do really like this fight though. This is gonna be, I think could steal fight of the night. So
if it goes into, I would say, the third round, I don't think it'll get
even if it goes into the second,
Camacho
I feel like Camacho is going to come out early, probably rock him early, but then if it does go into that second round, he will probably slow down and be finished in the second. But for every second that this fight is going, it's probably going to be full of action. So I am looking forward to this one. I think it's quite deep on the undercards. It should be moved up. Like Brooks and Lentz and Hamilton, it's like, who gives a shit about those? Why not put a fight that people don't know the fighters, but it's going to be a really good fight? Why not put that?
I mean, I agree with
up?
you with Brooks and Lentz, but I'm looking forward to seeing Hamilton. There's nothing more fun than seeing a guy that's got a glass chin fight.
I suppose, but
but yeah, I get the sentiment of it. So, right, I'll let you call the next one.
Oh, will you? Great.
Yeah,
I wondered why you put my name down for this one. Is like some punishment? I literally haven't seen any footage of Kassem at all. Like, not a single thing. So, but she has 4 knockouts, and they look like brutal knockouts. I'm actually just looking at her record right now. This is my fight study right in front of you. A head kick and a spinning back fist in the first 4 fights.
But don't all her opponents though have a combined win of 0?
Is that true? Is it?
I think so.
3 of the 4 fights didn't even go 30 seconds though. I mean,
yeah,
even if they are
right.
bad, I mean, she shows some power. I mean, bad fighters do often have good chins, so. So yeah, like Alex Chambers isn't a very good fighter, so maybe she will just come in and smash her, and we will have a nice quick fight.
Well, this is my 6th max bet ever. I'm joking. No, I hadn't even watched tape on either of them. I think what you've just mentioned with Kassem, I think all her wins, their opponents have got a combined record of 0 and something. I think it's that bad.
She actually reminds me a little bit of when Bambose first came into the UFC. You saw a bunch of fights that barely went past 2 minutes, and they were all against really bad fighters. So
I'm glad you elaborated there, because
yes,
Bambose, I think they're quite different.
They're exactly the same.
I've got nothing to add. From as far as a pick, I'm going to go Chambers just because Kassem hasn't won a fight against an opponent that's won a fight. So, by that logic,
I'll go Kassem just because I don't want Chambers to win too many fights in UFC. I'd rather just move on.
Yep, cool. Right. And on that note, the final one, we've got Janelle Lausa and Eric Shelton. A fight that I'm actually going to enjoy, I think. And I was going to bet Shelton. I did the tape. I liked him based on a few things, but I did think it was going to be a marginally close fight, and I still think that. I had him on my notes at -150 for the bet. I don't know what he came in at, I can't remember, but when I opened my phone up on that morning to have a look at best fight odds, it was -400, and I nearly spat my drink out when I saw that line.
Yeah, Eric
he
Shelton
should not be -500.
-400 against anyone, really.
And even though I think Shelton's going to win, all the value is on Lausa here. But I'm still, I'm not going to bet a fighter that I think's going to lose. So, yeah, I think Shelton will win. I think it'll be a horrible close split decision win for him. Lausa's got decent striking. He's got good striking. He's got decent takedown defense. I think Shelton will find a way to get him down enough to win the fight. But I'm not touching it at these odds. Definitely not. What about you?
No, the problem with Eric Shelton is he doesn't do enough. Like, he looks very skilled and he looks like a good fighter, but he often just lets these fights slip. So at those odds, you're never going to trust a guy like that to beat a decent. Lausa's not a bad fighter either. He put up a decent enough tough showing against Bibulatov, and he won his other fight in UFC. He looks like he knows what he's doing. So Shelton just going to make any fight close. So if you're looking at betting him, you can't do it at minus. I think it's minus 340 right now. You can get it at.
Yeah, I know it's come down a bit, but
it's nowhere near. Don't even risk it. That's my.
No.
But yeah, Shelton. I'll pick Shelton to win, but not enough confidence to go anywhere near a bet. Even if the odds were closer, I'd probably. Even if he was like minus 200, I'd still have a lot of reservations about betting someone like that.
Well, I had him at minus 150. That's where I saw the value, and I thought it was going to be around there, but clearly not. But yeah, I mean, that wraps it up. So just to recap, as always, on my bets, I've got 4 units on Werdum. It's at minus 250. I've got 3 units on Elias at minus 225. I've got 1 unit on Belal Muhammad at plus 226. And then I've got 1 unit on Velickovic at plus 138.
Yeah, so I've got 0.75 on Velickovic at plus 138 as well. I've also got the 2 units, massive 2 units bet on a Tuivasa Coulter going under 1.5. That's at minus 175. And I've got the parlay with Werdum and Benoit, or Benoit, sorry, at minus 124.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, the channel's still pretty new, so we're both on there, replying to a few comments as well. Like, subscribe, anything really helps at the minute. The podcast will also feature on my website, which is newsomemma.co.uk. I've also got other podcasts on there as well, from some good guys. I've got my brief breakdowns of my bets up there, and obviously anything else that you want to see in regards to where we're betting and odds and units and stuff like that, we've both got. We're both third party tracked and verified on betmma.tips, so you can get onto there and have a look at our records and stuff like that as well. So yeah, all in all, thanks for watching. I mean, we'll be back next week for UFC Shanghai in China, which again looks like another under average card, but like I said before, they're normally the best cards. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all helps. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
See you next week.